Hey guys, Oscar here, and welcome back to another video. So, I didn't really know what I was going to do this week, and I really didn't for the past 2 weeks, and that's why last week I had the video that was 30 minutes for my favorite albums of all time. But I'm finally doing a album review again. I figured something out. But as for the albums in the background, we have The Who's Next, Deep Purple, Machine Head, Led Zeppelin's single record store day release, that was for Rock and Roll and Friends, and Yes's Time and a Word. So, this is the Beatles' Revolver, and the reason I'm doing this one is because I bought it on the 15th, and also because when this goes up, it'll be a week since Paul McCartney's birthday, and I didn't really know that it was going to be Paul McCartney's birthday until after, so it kind of sucks, especially when I could have put a video up because it was on a Monday. Whatever. And the video that did go up went on a Sunday, so yeah, that worked out well. Let's get on to the actual review of the songs. First song is Taxman, which is my favorite song on the album. It's written and sung by George Harrison. Also, I have notes here, because there are 14 songs on the album, and I was not good enough at remembering the order of them or what I thought about each one. So, yeah. Taxman is my favorite song on the album, written and sung by George Harrison, who's my favorite songwriter of the Beatles. But he's not my favorite Beatle. Paul's my favorite. Anyways, there's amazing guitar work on this. I love the vocal harmonies on here. The drums are good, and it has maybe the best bass line out of any Beatles song ever, aside from Come Together. Yeah, overall, it's an amazing song and my favorite on the album. The next song on the album, which is coming up right here, is Eleanor Rigby, which is a very well-known song. Here it is. There you go. First 5 seconds and you're already introduced to the main part of the song that everybody knows. The strings on it are amazing. I love the violin and the cello because I used to play violin, and I have a friend who used to play cello, and we were in an orchestra. A very tiny school orchestra, but an orchestra nonetheless. Anyways, it's sung by Paul, and as I just said, strings are amazing on it. I used to like it more, though, than I do now, because I used to pay a lot more attention to the lyrics, and the lyrics were cool, but now that I don't pay attention to lyrics as much, it doesn't have as much of an effect on me in a positive way. But I actually used to like the song more than Taxman. Now I clearly don't. But the best thing about the song is are the strings. But I still do like the vocals and the harmonies. The next song on the album is I'm Only Sleeping, sung by John Lennon, and they're maybe my favorite vocals from John out of any Beatles song. The vocals are very soothing. There's something about the tone of his voice that he uses in that song, as opposed to any other song where he uses the same nasally voice. It's just kind of relaxing, and I can fall asleep to it. And maybe that's why the song is called I'm Only Sleeping. But this was an album where they were allowed to experiment a lot in the studio because they weren't doing any live shows, so they wouldn't have to try to reproduce anything live, which would have been impossible in 1966. So they were able to use stuff like tape tracks and guitar effects and vocal effects, so they used a backwards guitar in that song, which was super cool. Here we go. But yeah, that's the beginning of the song. But they were able to use stuff like backwards guitars and vocal effects because they didn't have to reproduce it live. So that's maybe my favorite part of the song, even more than John's vocals. And then in some parts they like stop everything else and just have a little bass solo for a half second, right here. I don't know if you're able to hear that. But yeah, the bass parts are really nice. But it did take me some time to appreciate the song. Because the first time I heard it, it was like, oh, what is this? It's just kind of really, really psychedelic and I'm not into it. But then I listened to it more and more and I was like, oh, I really like this. I don't mind the psychedelic aspect so much. So this song has really grown on me. I still don't like it as much as Eleanor Rigby, and not nearly as much as Taxman. But there we go. There's the bass. Definitely not as much as Taxman or Eleanor Rigby. Maybe I just need to listen to it more and I'll appreciate it. But yeah, I really like the song. The song after that is Love You Too, the second George Harrison song on the album. There are 3 on the album. And I like it almost as much as Taxman. It gets points just for being written by George Harrison. But I love the Eastern influence that he threw into the song. That was the backwards guitar if you were able to hear that. But I love the Eastern influence in all the instruments. With the percussion and the string instruments. And then his vocals on it are good. And I really like the end of the song where he speeds up the tempo to add something to the song, and it just rounds out the song really well. And it ends it really well. The song after that is Here, There, and Everywhere, which I like the first, like, 10-ish seconds of the song, because I'm really familiar with the lyrics and the vocals from that part. But aside from that, I really don't like the song very much. It's just kind of boring. The first line where Paul says, to lead a better life, I like that part the most, and then the instruments don't really do anything for me throughout the rest of the song, but I will give it the fact that it has at least decent vocals throughout the entire song, because it's Paul, and Paul has my favorite vocals out of all the Beatles. But yeah, it's just kind of boring for the most part. I would not choose to listen to it on any given day, but I'm fine with listening to it. And here is Love You Too. There's that Eastern influence. Anyways, the song after Here, There, and Everywhere is Yellow Submarine. Probably the most famous, popular children's song. It's sung by Ringo, even though it was written by John and Paul. Ringo didn't write a single song on this album, which is either a good or a bad thing, depending on your preference for Ringo songs. To me, it doesn't really bother me that it's not written by Ringo, and that there isn't a song written by Ringo on the album. I actually like the song, even though it's kind of a children's song. It sounds like a kid's song, for sure, but that doesn't take anything away from it. I still like the song, and it's definitely not my least favorite on the album. There are a couple that I dislike a little bit more than it, or don't like as much, really. But yeah, I do like it, even though it is a kid's song. The song after that is the final song on the side, which is She Said, She Said, which I love the vocals from John on it. I really like the guitar tone, and at points it has notable drum work. But I really like the vocals from John. The line, she said, I know what it's like to be dead. The vocals on it and that line just give me chills. Not for any particular reason aside from, like, it's just fun to listen to. But that's really all I have to say on it. I do love the song, though. The song after that, the first song on side 2, is Good Day Sunshine, which is sung by Paul. And it's more of a relaxing and happy song than anything. It's not really too interesting. It's like you listen to it for 30 seconds and you have the gist of the entire song. But that doesn't take anything away from it. I do like it. Not as much as Yellow Submarine. Yellow Submarine is just a little bit more nostalgia value to me. Just because I heard it and loved it when I was 4. But, I mean, it's still a nice, relaxing, happy song. It's really nothing special, but it's nice, and it has good vocals. The song after Good Day Sunshine is called And Your Bird Can Sing, which is sung by John Lennon, and it has double lead guitar by George and Paul, which is super cool, because anytime you give me double lead guitar, I can't complain. It has good vocals and cool enough guitar work. Not much else to say aside from that. Not my favorite on the album, but still a good song. The song after that is For No One, and this is going to be Here, There, and Everywhere, which has one of the best openings of any Beatles song ever, but doesn't really follow up. Anyways, the song after And Your Bird Can Sing is For No One, which is my least favorite song on the album. It's just kind of boring. The vocals don't do much. The instruments are quieter than the vocals, but they're more interesting at least. Or they're nicer, at least. And I think the reason I don't like it as much as the other songs on the album is because it's a bit sadder. It doesn't have like that happy, nice, fun sound to it that the rest of the songs do, except for Here, There, and Everywhere. They kind of share that quality, and those are probably my two least favorite on the album. There's my finger, if you were wondering what the tip of my finger looked like. Stupid. Yeah, For No One, least favorite on the album. But thankfully it's followed up by Dr. Robert, which a lot of people seem to dislike or not really care for at all on the album. But I think it's super underrated, and I love it. It's sung by John. The harmonies on it are fun from John and Paul, because of course they are. It's harmonies from John and Paul. They're like the best harmonizers ever. Well, they were. John's a little bit dead now, I guess. But when they harmonized, there was nothing that could beat their harmonies. Even a lot of people would say, like, oh, Freddie Mercury and Brian May and John Deacon and everybody from Queen are amazing at harmonies. No, John and Paul beat out everybody who could ever try to make a harmony. Don't try to argue that. But yeah, Dr. Robert, very fun guitar work. I think it's super underrated because everybody seems to dislike it or just not like it as much as every other song on the album. But I love the song just for the fun of it. I really like the line, well, you're feeling fine, when John sings that. It kind of like slows up the tempo. And it's just a fun, weird song. Here we go, most famous song ever. Yeah, whatever, Ringo. But yeah, I love Dr. Robert. It is one of my favorite songs in the album, even though most people don't seem to like it. I really don't understand why people don't like it. It's just a fun song. Just don't take it seriously. The song after Dr. Robert is called I Want to Tell You, and it's the final song on the album written by George Harrison. I don't like it as much as Taxman or Love You Too, but I still think it's a good song. Maybe even a great song. I like the vocals and the harmonies throughout the song. And I think that the drum work's pretty good too. I really like the guitar work on it. But still, as much as I like the song, I can't put it up there with Love You Too and Taxman as one of the great George Harrison songs. It's still a good song, just not George's best work. I think I just give it points for being a George Harrison song. The song after that, the second to last song on the album, is Got to Get You Into My Life, which is, my god, a 10 out of 10 song. I probably like it a little bit more than Love You Too. It's sung by Paul, and according to Wikipedia, the song is about pot and weed. Yep. Got to Get You Into My Life is talking about drugs that Paul needed every day of his life. How nice. But aside from the meaning of the song, I really like it. I love the horns that introduce the song. The brass on the song, it's great throughout. I love the vocals on the song, especially once the second half of the song is up. And don't you just love it when you get interrupted by a phone call in the middle of a video? No, I'm the only one? Huh. Whatever. Where was I? Yeah, talking about Got to Get You Into My Life. I love the vocals on it. And I love, especially when it gets to the second half of the song, when Paul starts to belt out all of the vocals. And the drums have a good rhythm. They don't do much, but I think they add a little something to the song that's just good. And yeah, I think I like it about as much as Taxman and Love You Too. The final song on the album is Tomorrow Never Knows, which is sung by John, and it starts out with great drumming from Ringo, which is very surprising, not because I don't think he has the talent for it, or he did, but just because he never really did too much in songs before, so having drumming, especially what I think is syncopated drumming at the beginning, this is She Said, She Said, the drumming at the beginning of it is syncopated and it's great, and it continues throughout the entire song to be great and probably the best part of the song. The entire song itself, though, is weird, and it kind of feels like everything is so offbeat that it shouldn't work, but everything just does. It all comes together, probably because of the drums, to work together. The guitar, the vocals, the weird other instruments that come in, and the weird bird chirps, I think it is, that come through, all seem like way offbeat, but they all come together to just make a good song. It's very confusing, but I think that John's almost disconnected sounding vocals lend themselves really well to the song. The drums are definitely my favorite part of the song, which is odd considering that's never something I say about a Beatles song. But yeah, overall, this is my favorite Beatles album. The instruments on it are great. The tape loops and vocal effects and guitar effects and everything they do on the album is just great. Also, one of the best cover arts of all time. Just look at this. There is a glare because I am recording with the light. Hello. But yeah, one of the best cover arts of all time. The drawings on it are amazing. And yeah, just love this album. And to tie this in with my video from last week, I would say that this is the best album of all time when I'm listening to it. Yeah, I think those are all my thoughts on the album, so see everybody next time, and I'll let you listen to a little bit more of this. Alright, see you next time. Bye!